Sd.Kfz 9. The Sd.Kfz 9, also known as Famo, was a German half-track that saw widespread use in World War II, and the heaviest half-track vehicle of any type built in quantity in Nazi Germany during the war years. Its main roles were as a prime mover for very heavy towed guns, such as the 24 cm Kanone 3, and as a tank recovery vehicle. Approximately 2,500 were produced between 1938 and 1945. Description: the Sd.Kfz 9 had a ladder frame chassis. Power was provided by a Maybach 12-cylinder, water-cooled, 10.838 liters, 661.4 cu HL 108 gasoline engine of 270 horsepower, 270 PS. It had a synchromesh ZFG65 VL 230 transmission with 4 forward and 1 reverse gears. It had 2 fuel tanks, one of 90 liters 24 US gal and the other of 230 liters 61 US gal capacity. Both tracks and wheels were used for steering. The steering system was set up so that shallow turns used only the wheels, but brakes would be applied to the tracks the further the steering wheel was turned. The drive sprocket, like all German half-tracks, had rollers rather than the more common teeth. The rear suspension consisted of 6 double sets of overlapping, interleaved Schachtelloff-work layout road wheels mounted on swing arms sprung by torsion bars. An idler wheel mounted at the rear of the vehicle was used to control track tension. The front wheels had leaf springs and shock absorbers. The upper body had a crew compartment common to all versions. This had bench seats, one for the driver and his assistant and another for the crew. The rear portion of the upper body was adapted for the vehicle's intended role. The artillery model had 2 extra bench seats for the gun's crew and space for its ammunition. The cargo version had just 2 storage compartments mounted in the front of the cargo compartment, one on each side, that opened to the outside. The windshield could fold forward and was also removable. A convertible canvas top was mounted at the upper part of the rear body. It fastened to the windshield when erected. The Sd.Kfz 9 was designed to have a towing capacity of 28 tons, 28 long tons, 31 short tons. This was adequate for medium tanks like the Panzer Roman IV, but 2 or even 3 or 4 were necessary for heavier vehicles like the Tiger I, Panther, or King Tiger. It towed Sd. and 116 low-loader trailers to carry disabled vehicles. All were equipped with a winch mounted at the middle of the vehicle, just under the cargo platform. Design and development. Preliminary design of all the German half-tracks of the early part of the war was done by Dippel. Ernst Niekamp of the Military Automotive Department, Wapprof 6, before the Nazis took power in 1933. His designs were then turned over to commercial firms for development and testing. Fahrzeug- Motorenbau GmbH Famo of Breslau received the contract for the 18T18 long tons, 20 short tons heavy towing tracked vehicle. Their first prototype, the FMGR-1, was completed in 1936. It had a 200 horsepower, 200 PS Maybach HL98 TUK engine and was only 7.7 meters 25 ft long. The F2 prototype appeared in 1938, but differed only in detail from its predecessor. The F3 appeared in 1939 and was the production version. The design was simplified over the course of the war to reduce costs and the use of strategic metals. Some vehicles produced by Tatra had its 12-cylinder, air-cooled Type 103 diesel engine fitted. Large spades were added at the rear of the chassis during the war to improve the vehicle's ability to recover tanks and other heavy vehicles. Variants. A new upper body was used for the Sd.Kfz 9/1, which mounted a 65.9 long tons, 6.6 short tons capacity crane in lieu of the crew's bench seat and the cargo compartment. It was issued to tank maintenance units beginning in September 1941. A larger gasoline-electric 10T 9.8 long tons, 11 short tons crane was fitted on the later Sd.Kfz 9/2, but this required outriggers to stabilize the vehicle before operations could begin. There was also a tank recovery version with a giant spade-like metal plate connected to the rear of the frame. The spade-holding frame could be lifted straight up for transport. It was meant to stabilize the vehicle while winching a heavy object on soft ground. 8.8 cm Flak 18 anti-aircraft guns were mounted on 15 Sd.Kfz 9s in 1940 as the 8.8 cm Flak 18 SFL. Aufsatzkraftwagen 18 Sd.Kfz 9 for anti-tank duties. The crew and engine compartments were lightly 14.5 mm 0.57 in, but completely armored, which limited the gun's ability to fire directly ahead. A platform with drop-down sides was fitted for the gun. Outriggers were necessary to brace the platform sides to support the weight of the gun crew. The vehicle weighed 25 tons, 25 long tons, 28 short tons, was 9.32 meters, 30.6 ft long, 3.67 meters, 12.0 ft tall, and 2.65 meters, 8.7 ft wide. One source claims that these vehicles were produced as prototypes in 1943. Production. Famo of Plauen began producing the Sd.Kfz 9 in 1940, and Tatra joined in the last years of the war. 855 were on hand on 20 December 1942. 643 were built in 1943, and 834 in 1944. Approximately 2,500 were built in total.